Please raise your hand if you are not prepared at this point to decide this case solely based upon the testimony presented in this case within the confines of these walls. Court knows no response. And it'll make more sense as it goes on once you actually get some testimony. But the court will propound that when you return for lunch, when you return the next day, lunch. All right? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we are prepared to begin the case with opening statements. Each side has an opportunity to make a presentation. The state will begin. Excuse me. I think so. Yes, I did, didn't I? We swore them. Yes. That's the first thing I do. That's the first thing I do. Did I swear them, Madam Court Reporter? So what? Swear them if I need to. But it's the first part. I know I did, but I'm going to double check. Stand again and raise your right hands. You should well and truly try the issue between the state of Georgia and Evelyn Odom, aka the honor, and a true offenses. Count 1, felony murder. Count 3, aggravated battery, family violence. Count 4, concealing death of another person. Count 5, concealing death of another person. And a true verdict. Thank you. Huh? I knew it. Better safe than sorry. Okay? Thank you. All right. The state may proceed with opening statements.
Please, the court. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Greg, District Attorney. We represent the people of Dougherty County. We represent the people of the state of Georgia. We represent you and your friends and your neighbors. And we will be presenting to you all the case of the state of Georgia versus this defendant, Evelyn Odom. And during the court, we'll show you that this defendant, and that is take the life of her child. And then just made her disappear from the face of the earth. That's what she did, as the evidence will show. As noted, the charges in this particular case, as already noted, include felony murder, cruelty to a child in the first degree, aggravated battery, and counts of conspiracy to conceal the death of another and concealing the death of another. And of this case, as you will hear the evidence for your consideration in this matter. The state expects the evidence will show that this defendant is, as the evidence will show, a perfect train wreck in terms of parental ability, domineering personality, and being just mean. And that's what the evidence is going to show about this defendant. Now, the thing about what this defendant's situation is this. To begin with, she began as a teenage mother. And the evidence will show that she began first with her first child, Gregory Plea, Kenyatta, Odom. The third child was Patrick Thompson. Fourth child was Kerry Sanders. And she had a fifth child, Ulysses Sanders Jr. And the evidence will show that the oldest child, Gregory Plea, he was born in November of 1982. Followed next by Kenyatta, who was born within 10 months of his birth in 1983. The next child was born a couple of years later. The next child was a couple of years later. And the last child, Ulysses Sanders Jr., was born on September 29, 1988. Now, Ulysses Sanders Jr. died by natural causes on September when Kenyatta Odom was killed. There were 5 children in the household. 5 small children. 5 small children. The oldest being Gregory at age 6. Steps on down. And the defendant began having children at probably age 14, 15. And these 5 children were all now in being about 5 years later in 1988. So you have that level of small children all together at one time with this very young mother, teen mother. And the state submits that this has set the stage for some of the things that occurred during this situation, resulting ultimately in the death of Kenyatta. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one thing I want you to wrap your heads around is that the defendant in the courtroom here is different chronologically from the person that did these crimes. You need to wrap your heads around the notion that the individual depicted here is the one that did these crimes. The youthful person that did these crimes, and the defendant here in court represents decades of holding a secret of what she did and lying. So you must wrap your head around the notion that it was a young person that physically was doing these crimes, or did these crimes, and doing the things that you're going to hear that occurred during this case. So you must wrap your heads around that as you hear the evidence. Now, the victim in this case, Kenyatta Odom, had been born in August of 1983. And as the evidence will show, she had 3 strikes against her in relation to her mother. The first strike against her in relation to her mother began with her inception. And the evidence will show that Ellen Odom indicated that Kenyatta, also known as Keke, was the product of a forced sex act. She was forced upon by a man that she indicated was, that Ellen Odom indicated was older than her. Somebody that hung around the family and that she only knew as Jess. And effectively what she was describing as the father of, and the instance that brought about Kenyatta's birth was rape. That's the first strike for Kenyatta in relation to her mother. And Kenyatta, as you see here, you see a picture of her, one of the few pictures of her when she was alive. And next to that picture is an artist's rendition of her that was created from her body. So that was the first strike, being the product of an unwanted sexual act. The second strike in relation to this defendant and Kenyatta, Keke, was that she was not fully formed. She was maybe, we don't know, we don't have the medical records, but she had physical problems. Her body, she had some problem walking, and she had those kind of problems with her body. She did not thrive. She did not flourish. She was well underweight for her stated age of 5 years old when she was killed. Well underweight. And the third strike in relation to and her mother was that she apparently was not developed mentally, intellectually. She did not thrive as a child. And she constantly soiling herself. She was 5 years old and occasionally had to wear diapers. Even though she was 5 years old, in fact, she's found with a diaper on her body when her body was still. So she had these 3 strikes against her. And you had really for an infant, a couple of toddlers, and a 4th child with issues that Keke Kenyatta had. A perfect storm in terms of the potential for what happened to Kenyatta. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear witnesses that will describe how they saw the defendant, Ellen Odom, dealing with Keke, with Kenyatta. And you will hear instances from the witnesses that include acts of neglect and punishment that were directed completely to the book. All during her short life. Witnesses will describe what they saw. So please listen to all what you hear from the witnesses about what they directly saw in relation to how the defendant treated Kenyatta, Keke. Now, forward, we're going to talk about the actual crime itself. Events of the crime. And as we begin, the evidence will show that there was a house located in now the house itself was, and the family lived in one part of the duplex at 1212 West Avenue. I think that's the correct address. And that's where the crime took place. At this small location was the defendant, 5 children, and Ulysses Sanders. Small apartment. They're all in this apartment. And so, again, the situation developed. Now, the state expects the evidence will show this took place in the house. It was a time, again, within the life period. Again, brief life. And that provided a timeline for the events that were part of this case. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the evidence will show, Ulysses Sanders and Evelyn Odom were living together at that time. And Ulysses Sanders had brought in and took in all of Evelyn, and there were no problems in relation to that. But one thing about the situation was Evelyn Odom insisted on disciplining her children. And that's what she did in all these instances. That's what she did in relation to Kenyatta. These are my children. And that's what she did in relation to her children. And that's what the evidence will be during the course of this trial. And the evidence will show you, ladies and gentlemen, that, again, there were no problems in relation to the life of Ulysses Sanders and Evelyn Odom at the time this case began, or the situation began. That will be the evidence that you will see. Now, a little bit more about what happened before we get to her story. The evidence is going to show you that on the crime itself, that Ulysses Sanders was home, they were all home, they dragged us home that evening. And in the instance that this crime took place, apparently, Keke, Kenyatta, had soiled herself yet again. And what may have been an effort to engage in some sort of painful compliance and make her do better, the defendant engaged in an act of taking Kenyatta into the bathroom and apparently filling the tub with scalding hot water. And she placed the child in that water. You will hear that when she placed the child in that water, Mr. Sanders was in the next room and heard screams. Heard screams. And came in and observed that the child was severely injured. Severely injured around her feet and ankles after being placed in the hot water. The hot water caused severe scalding injuries. Scalding injuries that included skin of the child flopping off, and the description given by Ulysses Sanders, it looked like the child's legs were fried chicken. He was so severely injured at that moment. And that's when things went the way they did. The child was severely injured, and you hear that Ulysses Sanders wanted to call emergency medical services, call for aid for the child. But this was overruled by Evelyn Odom. We can't do that. We're not going to do that. The child needed aid, but no aid was provided. No aid was provided, notwithstanding the severe injuries that Kenyatta suffered. And the evidence will show that rather than call for assistance, rather than get medical treatment, Evelyn Odom just put the child on the bed and kept the child, and the child lingered for a period of about 4 days, 4 or 5 days before she died. Before she died. And then what happened is, well, they went into panic mode. What happens now? What happens now? And the evidence will show, ladies and gentlemen, that they came up with a notion that we just need to get rid of the body. And that's what they worked up to be. They did this together. They did this together. It was Evelyn Odom's hand that caused injuries. But they both worked together to hide this crime. It seemed obvious that they did not want police or anybody else involved in this situation because of what she had done. The child lingered for about 4 or 5 days, as the evidence will show, and the only attention given to it was some over-the-counter ointments that were put on the child. But other than that, she lingered for about 4 or 5 days before it expired. And the deal was that, we're going to deal with it now. The evidence will show that Ulysses Sanders was at work when he's contacted by the defendant, Odom, and informed that the child is now dead. So he comes to find the child dead. So then they take steps together and they decide to take the body, just get rid of it. The evidence will show that the defendant wrapped the child up in a blanket and they then did more to hopefully conceal the situation. They got concrete and poured it on top of the child who was now in a box, the entertainment box, as you will see, that was used to hold her body. They took the entertainment box and pursuant to her idea, it was her idea to take the child to a remote area in Recross, Georgia. And why this area? Is because she was familiar with it, because she had relatives there, and had been in that area and knew that area. That's why Recross. She had an aunt that lived there, and she was there, and she knew that area. That's why they went to Recross. And left the body in Ware County. And so, that's what Evelyn Odom did. And from that point, Kenyatta, Keke, was just erased. She was just erased. And again, the notion was she was erased when ultimately Ulysses Sanders and her broke up. They went their separate ways. The explanation that Evelyn Odom gave for where's Keke, where's Kenyatta, you would hear essentially 2 different stories that she told, lies that she told for decades. One particular lie was she's with her father. And she's here, there, living her best life. She's living her best life. This is the story she told to family members and others. She also erased Kenyatta by not ever saying anything else about her, notwithstanding that she had ongoing relationships with other men moving forward. They were aware of her other children, but Kenyatta was erased. Kenyatta was erased. When questioned by law enforcement, the story was this. Where's Kenyatta? Oh, she's with my dear. Who is Medea? Well, all I know, she's a woman in the neighborhood. And she went on to say, well, you know, that's not the fictional Tyler Perry character, Medea. It's a woman that lives in the neighborhood. And you know, she said it wasn't Medea, the fictional character. She describes basically Medea. A middle-aged woman who just took Kenyatta with her. Where? She's with Medea. She's with Medea. This is what she's telling law enforcement. Now, where is Kenyatta? Knowing full well that her body had been dumped in Ware County those years back. So, as noted, when the case began, and you saw that in the earlier photographs, the body was located in Ware County. The initial investigation carried out by the GBI beginning in Ware County. They began, of course, initially in Ware County, and the child was not identified in 1988. You know, some of the forensic resources that we have today, of course, were not available. Some of the forensic resources and autopsy was performed. And at that time, the autopsy pathologist could not determine the cause of death and noted it as undetermined. But the investigation continued. Because obviously, somebody went through, this defendant went through all the steps to get rid of the body of her child. And the GBI did not give up. They were relentless in their efforts to try to find out who was Keke. As I showed you earlier, that in the earlier photograph of Kenyatta, they were able to do a sketch, a composite sketch, and again putting out different efforts. Even the media got involved in trying to help find Kenyatta. And luckily, there was a break when a relative who was aware that Kenyatta had disappeared, and really, that photograph looked like that GBI got a tip. And there was one other thing that connected the death to all of them. at the crime scene, there was an Albany newspaper. An Albany Herald, piece of the Albany Herald, near the body. It was dated October of 1988. And again, that kind of shows generally the time frame where this thing occurred. It was the newspaper found near the crime scene where the body was. Where the body was, that also had diapers and other paraphernalia around. Now, the body was discovered as the evidence by an individual who was just looking to find, where he was looking around in the area, and he saw the box that Kenyatta had been entombed in. He was looking at it for the purpose of taking it and refurbishing it. And that's where he discovered, that the victim was dead. So they went from that point and law enforcement was alerted, and that's where the search began from that point. That happened on December 21, 1988. That's when the body was discovered. The body was discovered on that day. So again, the GBI investigation kept going. It was made a cold case. It was made a cold case. But it stayed on the radar, so to speak, of the GBI. And then ultimately, with information from tipsters, the defendant was developed as a suspect. He was developed as a suspect along with Ulysses Sanders, both developed as suspects. And the police, as far as the GBI, made contact with Ulysses Sanders. And Ulysses Sanders initially didn't jump right out and say what he had done in the interview. But during the course of the interview, a sobbing, crying Ulysses Sanders told what happened. He fully cooperated with the GBI. Fully cooperated with the GBI. But because of his involvement, what he did, he's charged. And the evidence will show that he pled guilty and he used to be sentenced for what he did. But he cooperated fully, providing all the information related to what happened, what was done to Keke by the defendant. And again, this defendant was confronted with the fact that in the investigation, the GBI using forensic information, fully identified the body of Kenyatta, Keke, as being a child of the defendant. That identification was done forensically. The body that was dumped in Ware County was Kenyatta Odom, her child. What did she say? The child was muddy. Muddy. Some fictional character. Some fictional character. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear the evidence about this case, and there will be witnesses again further about everything. And I'll note first that you'll hear probably from, if they testify, you may hear from her children. And what the evidence will show is that she continued to interact with her children and survived. That she continued to interact with them. And they were cooperative with the GBI and telling what they knew or what they observed. But the evidence will show that they have interacted with their mother. They're all adults now. That is Gregory Plea, Patrick Thompson, and Kerry Sanders. They have interacted with their mothers. And if they testify, I don't know what they're going to say. We don't know what they're going to say if they testify. We do know what they have said relative to this situation. We do know what they have said, and necessarily presented. But for the actual event itself, they were all very, very, very small. And if anything, they can only relate about things between Ulysses Sanders and the defendant years later. So please keep that chronology in mind. And again, the chronology of the situation is important. And again, the defendant that's before you today in this trial was a young person, strong, vigorous. He had the mindset to punish her child for soiling herself in a manner that ultimately resulted in the child's death. And then covering all up, erasing totally. And you hear again the lies that she told about where Kenyatta was. The lies she told to anybody that inquired. Lies right up to after she's been identified. She's with her dad, somebody living her best life. We talked not long ago. Oh, one did die. Muddy. And ladies and gentlemen, you should look at the evidence Look at the witnesses involved in this case. As I described, look at all the witness testimony that you will hear. This case is straightforward. This case is going to be without a doubt, because the evidence is going to be overwhelmingly clear to you. It's simply this. This defendant, in an extraordinarily cruel manner, was punishing her child who had problems. This was consistent with other things that people observed about that situation. We hear about that. She was consistently cruel to her. This cruelty led to her being injured. And further cruelty was she was not given any aid. Never given any aid. And she lingered and suffered before she ultimately died. Then her body unceremoniously dumped miles away. Unceremoniously dumped and erased from existence. Died in the middle. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about the events of the crime. And we told you that the evidence would show that Ulysses Sanders and her did it together. They put the body, as the evidence will show you, in an area of Ware County. You see the evidence. You see the evidence of the crime scene where the victim was found. How she was found. And ladies and gentlemen, again, the evidence will be clear that Ulysses Sanders and Evelyn Odom worked together. Ulysses Sanders told it. He's going to come in and testify about what happened. And the evidence will show that this defendant, her hand is the hand that caused the injury. Her hand caused the injury. And ladies and gentlemen, again, she needs to be held responsible for the acts that she did. Again, remember that the defendant in the courtroom right now was a young woman that did this crime. And then hid everything for decades. Hid everything for decades. As you consider this evidence, please wrap your head around that. And the state asks that you return a verdict that speaks the truth. And that is that this defendant, Evelyn Odom, in 1988 killed her child by causing severe injuries to her, and then failing to provide her any aid in an effort to protect herself from her criminal responsibility, and then hid the body to further protect herself from criminal responsibility. And I ask that you hold her responsible with your verdict, that is, that she's guilty of all the counts specified in the indictment. That completes the state's opening statement, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. Defense can be heard at this time.
Your Honor, we are looking to reserve our opening statements.
All right. All right. Then, that being said, defense is going to reserve their opening statement until they decide about the presentation of their case. Mr. Edwards, ready to call the state's first witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. The state will call Joseph Carter.
Before you're seated, sir, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this cause is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. Adjust your mic and make sure it's on, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your full name for the court?
Joseph Herman Carter,
Okay. And Mr. Carter, where do you live at?
188 Pony Road, Alma, Georgia.
Alma, Georgia? And what county is Alma, Georgia?
Alma. It's Bacon County
Bacon County. And how long have you lived there?
since 1995.
Okay. And are you currently employed?
Yes, I'm with Walmart Fleet.
I'm sorry.
I
I couldn't hear you. You might want to speak a little bit closer.
I drive a truck for Walmart Fleet.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that? How long?
3 years.
3 years. And did you work before then?
Yes, I did.
And where did you work?
I worked for Brandon Mason Cattle Company, pulling cows out west, and I was on my own, self-employed for about 10 years. And then 1985, I went to work with Pierce Timber Company in Blackshear, Georgia.
Okay, so in 1985 you went to work for Pierce Timber Company?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do for them?
I was a heavy equipment operator.
Okay. And when you say heavy equipment operator, like what would you actually do?
I run a cut-down machine, a skidder, loader, and stuff like that for the logging corporation.
For a logging
Yeah, for
corporation? Okay. And you said that was in Blackshear, Georgia?
Yes,
and where is that? What county is that?
Pierce County.
Pierce County. Okay. And were you working for them in December of 1988?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I want to call your attention back to December of 1988. Do you recall if you were working on that particular date?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you worked for Pierce Timber Company. Were you working for that company?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you doing on that day for work?
It's a Rayonier track. I'm kind of what they call a floater back then. I'd run the cut-down machine, loader, skidder, just kind of whatever needed to be done, just kind of float around. I'd drive the truck some if we had a truck driver out. I think that day I was loading trucks out.
Okay, and I'm gonna have to back up just a little bit for people like me that I don't understand all that. I apologize. So the place that you work for is a timber company.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're telling us what you do with the machines, the loaders, and how does that relate to the timber?
Well, we have to go in and harvest the timber.
Okay, all right, got you. Okay, so is that what you were saying you were doing on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Did anything, let me back up. Where were you at when you were doing that on that date in December of 88?
We was in a Millwood track, it was rare near track, but I think I was loading up on the loader, loading wood that day.
Okay, so let me back up. Y'all were where? I didn't get the first part.
It's a Millwood track, a rare near track.
Okay, when you said Millwood, I don't understand. What's that mean?
Millwood, Georgia.
Oh, okay, Millwood, Georgia.
Right.
What county is that in?
Ware County.
Okay, all right, so y'all were there
Well, harvesting timber
harvesting timber.
on a rare near track.
Okay, and where was this tract of land located?
It's what you call west of Recross off Highway 82.
Okay.
A little town called Manor, Millwood area.
Okay, and can you describe the area where you were working, doing the timber, what it looked like?
Just a bunch of pine trees. Pine trees growed up, dog fennels, pine saplings, stuff like that all growed up around it.
Okay, and when you went to this area, is it a dirt road, a paved road, a highway? Can you describe that?
You take 82 up to, I don't know the name of the road that we worked on that day. It's just a side dirt road, and we just took the dirt road about 2 miles back in there to where we started.
Okay, and how old were you back in December of 1988?
Let's see.
Approximately.
26, 27, somewhere along in there.
Okay, and were you at this place working in Millwood alone? Were you alone that day, or was someone else working with you?
We got a full crew out there.
Like how many people would that be?
Could have been too scared. He's probably 4 in the woods, 4 to 5 in the woods, and we had four truck drivers
Okay,
that was coming in and out.
all right. Do you remember anyone else that was there with you by name?
Well, see, there's Pete Thomas was there. He was our foreman. Benny Guest run the cut down machine. I run the cut down machine some, and then I think Ray Moore was one of our truck drivers, and then Terry Williamson was one of the truck drivers, and then me, and then I can't remember them all. Back then I just
Sure, I understand.
too far.
It's been a while.
Been a while.
And when you were working that day, did anything happen or occur that was unusual or different, out of the ordinary for your work day, harvesting the timber, cutting the timber?
Yes, Terry Wilson pulled up, and he said, "You ain't believe it, I think I found a body." And my crew foreman, they play around here, they jokes and stuff like that, and we didn't know what he was, for real or not. And he said, "Yeah, he's for real. He found a body." So my crew foreman told me, we loaded him up, and we went back out the road, and then we dropped off, stopped where he was, the body was, and I went on to make the phone call up there at the little convenience store right up the road.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. So when Terry, did you know Terry outside of work?
A little bit, not that much, just mostly, working a companion.
Okay, and do you still have contact with Terry?
No.
And so when Terry came and approached you where you were working, approximately how far did you have to go? How far did you have to walk or travel?
It's probably about a mile back up towards the main road, because we was about 2.5 miles back in the woods where we was cutting at.
Okay.
So it's probably, we come in one way and go out another way, so we just kind of had to, backtrack and hold everybody up, so hoping nobody would come back down that road as we was trying to proceed back to 82.
Okay. And so you said that you were trying to go call emergency services. Now, where did you go to do that?
I went to the little convenience store up there at Millwood. Back then that was the only thing that was there. And had a little payphone outside by the highway, and that's where I made the call.
Okay. And What did you do after you made the call to emergency services?
I told them I'd meet them up there at the highway because I didn't know the name of the road. It wasn't marked. All we have is red, flagging tape, to get our trucks in and out down that road. So I met them right there at the end of the dirt road and let them in.
Okay. When you say let them in, was it like blocked off or something?
No, ma'am, they just followed me down the road.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. And, so you said that you called and then you walked up towards the highway or to the highway where they could see you?
I drove the pickup truck.
You drove up there. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then you took them where they needed to go.
Right.
Well, who was it that showed up? Like what agency? I'm talking about what agency?
Ware County.
Ware County?
Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff's Department. Okay. All right, I think that's all the questions I have for you. The defense may have some questions.
Okay.
All right.
Carter. Carter.
Good morning, Mr. Carter.
Morning.
Name's Lamar Gardner. I have the pleasure of representing Ms. Odom. So I want to take you back to what you discussed on direct examination. Take you back to the scene on December 21st, 1988. You said at the time you were working for Pierce Timber?
Right.
And during that time, you said your job was you were a floater.
Right.
So that means that you were moving from area to area?
Well, I'd move from, I'd loading trucks. I'd cut down some. I'd learn skidder for a while. I'd run to load the logs on the truck. If the truck drivers didn't show up, I was trying to, I'd fill in for, to drive a truck.
Okay, so you did different jobs?
Right.
Okay. You said you were on the Millwood track at the time harvesting timber, correct?
Yeah.
I said at the time you said that the body was found. I assume you said you were at Millwood track.
Right.
Okay, for the purpose of harvesting timber?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You had a full crew that day, correct?
Yes, sir. Full crew.
And I heard you name some people. You heard Pete Thomas, Ray Moore, Terry, and then I heard you say that you couldn't remember who all else was there, correct?
I can't remember them all. It's been, a long time ago.
On the day that you called the sheriff after discovering the body, after Terry Williamson grabbed your attention,
Mm-hmm.
the GBI nor the sheriff asked you for names of persons who were located at the time, correct?
Just Terry, meet up with Terry Williamson.
Just Terry, correct?
Right.
But no one else from the crew, correct?
No.
Had they asked you at that time, do you think that since it was fresh on your mind, you could have remembered who was involved, who was on the scene at the time?
I don't know who was on the scene.
Did you know everybody, though, was within your crew? I think you said there were approximately 9 people at the time, 4 to 5 in the woods, and there were 4 truck drivers?
Well, there's 5 people in the wood and 4 truck drivers, 9 people total.
Other than yourself and Terry Williamson, do you recall the GBI interviewing or asking you for anyone else's name? Did you watch, at the time that the sheriff and the GBI appeared on the scene, did you watch them do an investigation?
No.
In the crime scene, let's go back to the area where the body was found. Mm-hmm. Could you describe that scene for me again?
These kids planted pines, where pine trees are planted in a row. Had a bunch of shrubbery and stuff, hedge, stuff up and around. A bunch of the volunteer pine trees was growing up. It's wooden. It's just wooded area. It's pine trees. It's planted woods.
Well, let me ask you about the chaos on the scene. Was it a lot of work going on? Was it a lot of people at the time?
Of what now?
Was it a lot of people on the scene, workers? Was there a lot of trees cutting down? What was going on at the time?
At the scene, nothing.
Nothing. Let me ask you this. At the time, what info did they get from you other than your name and information about Terry Williamson and what y'all discovered?
Well, I don't understand your question.
At the time that you were interviewed by Ware County, when they appeared,
Right.
after you called,
Yeah.
what other information did they get from you other than what you discovered at the time?
That's it.
That's it. So they didn't get, they take your fingerprints?
No.
From 1988 until now, how many times had you been interviewed?
None.
So after you spoke on that day, December 21st, 1988, that was the last time you spoke to anyone regarding this case?
Right.
Did they test any DNA from you?
No.
Would you have, on that day, as part of your job duties, would you have had duct tape with you? Is that something that you use often?
Duct tape with me.
Duct tape, correct.
There's probably some on the work truck.
What materials did you use for the job that you had?
Oh, we had a welder, we had cutting torches, we had chains, binders, hydraulic hoses. We had everything to work in case something tears up in the woods. We had everything to work on with.
Okay. Do you remember being questioned about any vehicles in the area at that time?
It's a dirt road going back there to the river. You don't see very many people on a logging road because it's just one way in and one way out, and you get trapped in there so easy with a log truck. It's hard. Once a log truck blocks the road, you can't pass. You'll throw somebody in the ditch.
Do you recall the GBI questioning you about a yellow truck that was seen leaving the scene?
No.
Did you know at the time a gentleman by the name of Everett Sanders?
Edward Sanders?
Everett Sanders.
Everett Sanders?
Correct.
I had I worked with a guy named Edward, but his last name was Jernigan, but he wasn't Sanders. No.
Was he, if you don't mind me asking, was he African American or Caucasian? Was he
The guy
black?
I
or-
knew?
Yes.
Yeah, he was African American, but he worked on a totally different crew than what I worked on.
But you don't know about a yellow truck, or they didn't question you about a yellow truck or its owner?
No.
I may have asked you this question, but did they ask you if you knew any other workers in the area?
No.
Again, had they asked you at the time, do you think you would have been able to give more names of workers or co-workers that you worked with?
The police, the sheriff's department was there. Terry gave them all that.
Were they not your co-workers?
Who?
Other people on the scene who were working, were they also your co-workers?
The people that worked in harvesting the trees, yes.
Right. And so you spoke with some regularly?
Yeah. The guys in the crew, yeah.
So at that time, had the GBI or the sheriff asked you about the names of other co-workers, would you have been able to tell them?
Yeah, I'd been able to tell them then, but I can't tell them now.
Just asking at the time, would you
Right.
have been able to tell them? Okay. Let me ask you this, and I think you may have answered this question, but you said that December 21st, 1988, after being questioned by Sheriff James, that's the only person that you've ever talked to since then. So you didn't hear from the lead investigator on this case, Special Agent Taylor Huntley?
A guy called me a couple of weeks ago and told me they had a lead on this case. His name was Julius Collins, and told me they had a lead on this case. Called my wife's phone at 10 o'clock at night.
So the first time that you had heard
That's the
something
first
else,
time I heard anything about the case.
the first time you had heard something about this case since December 21st, 1988, is when the attorney from the defense contacted you. Julius Collins? Who'd you say?
Julius Collins.
Okay. But did they say it wasn't with the GBI, correct?
Attorney for the mother of the child.
So the first time that you heard anything else about this case since
Well, when I
1988?
got the summons for court, whenever they dropped it off.
So
and
my
then-
question is,
and then he contacted me at night.
so my question is, no one else outside had contacted you, correct? One moment, please. Just a few more questions, Mr. Carter, please. Do you recall a bridge being built on Duncan Bridge Road around that time?
They were all kind of construction on that road because 82 was, excuse me?
And I can't turn it off.
Just one moment.
I'm sorry. Please proceed.
Can you start over, Mr. Carter?
Yes, the 4 lane on 82 was being built at that time. And there was all kind of construction workers, passing them on the 4 lane,
Okay.
trying to build the 4 lane. It wasn't complete at that time.
So there were multiple workers, correct?
I'm sure there's all kind of contractors and everything building the road. I don't know how many, but I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there.
Multiple vehicles coming in and out, correct?
Right. On the highway, not on the dirt road.
So no vehicles came onto the dirt road. How were material transferred to the dirt road if vehicles didn't come down the dirt road? So no vehicles came down the dirt road?
We didn't see nothing. I mean, when they come down there, you're at the brow, what we call the place where you bring the trees up to, and they'd be running right into us down there unless they went on down towards the river. But we hardly ever seen anybody coming back there because it's too dangerous.
What about the workers? Where were your vehicles?
My what?
Where were the workers' vehicles? Where did the workers park?
We all rode together in a crew truck.
Just let me do one more follow-up just to make sure. So since then, you haven't heard from James Ellis,
No,
Dale Raleigh, Ben Collins, Special Agent Seth Hollander with the GBI,
no,
nor Special Agent Taylor,
no,
Luciana Huntley,
no.
correct? I think that may be it. Court's indulgence. Just one follow-up question, Mr. Carter. You stated that at the time that Mr. Williamson came and grabbed your attention that you were 2 miles into the woods.
No, we worked about 2 miles off the highway.
But I think I noted that you were in the woods at the time, correct?
Yes,
So could you have seen any vehicles driving down that dirt road?
yeah,
No further questions.
yes,
No further questions.
okay.
Mr. Carter,
Yes, ma'am.
when your coworker came and told you that he thought there was a body in the woods, you left, went to go call for help. Who else went with you?
Terry
Terry, last name
Williamson.
And do you know where Terry lives or anything now?
I think he's been deceased the last time I heard.
Your Honor, I think that we can approach.
Let's conference this after she gets, okay? So.
Hi, Mr. Carter. When we left, I was asking you about your coworker. Now, you said that you and him went down where he had found, or what he thought was he found a body,
Yes, ma'am.
and for you to call emergency services.
Yeah, I went.
Did any of your other coworkers go to the
No.
crime scene?
No, ma'am.
So if the officers would have asked you your coworkers' names, to your knowledge, did they have any information about the crime scene?
No, ma'am.
If they had asked for your fingerprints, would you have given them
Yes, ma'am.
to them?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give them all the information they asked for?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know Kenyatta Odom?
No, ma'am.
Do you know Evelyn Odom,
No.
or AKA Zemecca, Louisiana?
No.
Do you have family or friends in Albany, Doherty County, Georgia, or did you at the
No.
time? Did you know Ulysses Sanders?
No.
And you said that the law enforcement, when asked, you said Terry gave them all that information.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you referring to the co-worker that came and brought your attention to the crime scene?
Yeah.
And you did direct the sheriff's department back up to the
Yes, ma'am.
location of the body?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
All right. Recross?
Mr. Carter, just a couple of follow-ups. You stated on Cross that there were all kind of construction workers, contractors. You said there were different contractors. Do you know any of the names of the different companies or crews that were working on Corridor Z on that day?
No, I do not.
Do you know when Terry Williamson died?
I did not go till a couple of days ago that he had passed away.
Nothing further.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Might this witness be excused?
Your Honor, can he just be placed on call? We'll call him if we need him.
All right.
Dismiss.
You'll be on call if they need you.
Okay.
You're still subject to subpoena. They'll reach out to you if they need you.
But I'll go ahead and leave today.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Safe travels. State's next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The state will call Sheriff Carl James.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Before the witness takes stand, I understood that the court we needed to do a quick conference.
Oh, we do.
Did we need?
Can you hold the witness outside just a minute, please? How long is this witness?
Probably pretty long.
Pretty long? Okay, all right, time for a conference break. We came back at 12:30, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
At 1:30. Maybe we'll take a quick comfort break, but we'll bring in, let's take the jury out, take the jury out. You all go ahead and begin your break. We're gonna take 15 minutes here. You can leave that in your chair face down, please. These are tough. The base conference. So you need to get in the middle every time. You need to get in the middle of the lawyers every time. Well, they're trying to respond, so they want to hear too. So, counsel, we're going to have to speak up so the court reporter can hear us. And ideally, she needs to be positioned between the lawyers. Okay? All right. Now, where did we leave off?
Well, Your Honor, coming back to our position on yesterday, we removed the court in limine to exclude matters that witnesses don't have personal knowledge of. And I don't know if the court recalls the state's response was, at that point in time, they still didn't know what witnesses had personal knowledge of at all. And we just witnessed that with this witness on the stand saying that he learned for the first time a couple of days ago, presumably from someone else who told him that Mr. Wilson had died. So we're renewing our motion in limine to prevent the state from introducing testimony from people without any personal knowledge. We asked the court to ask the state to interview their witnesses and make sure they elicit evidence that is admissible. That's what we're asking, Your Honor.
Now that is a ridiculously impossible task for us to understand what personal knowledge of every individual witness that might be called. And I think there's no grounds for any such motion. If there's some objectionable testimony, the proper thing to do would be to object to it at that time.
Well, I think there was an objection based upon what they considered to be a previous motion. But the court, Ms. Mullins, you want to respond to that? Or there's no response that you care to make?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last
There's no response that you care to make? I really think it was
No,
a
I don't have
spontaneous
it.
question that she asked, and I don't know what she was going to do with the information once she got it. Or
Right, I mean,
if need be, during the course of this trial, supplement her witness list or whatever, but court didn't read anything inappropriate or in that question. So I'll just have to leave it. I mean, it wasn't
That's not, the issue isn't that particular question, but this case is going to
Questions
get
like
developed. And once the more sufficient, more significant evidence starts coming out, they're going to ask these loose questions, and that's when we're in trouble
How do
because of
I-
the way the answers are phrased.
You're saying they can't ask questions they don't know the answer to?
I'm asking they should have a good faith basis on whether or not the witness actually knows what they're eliciting. We were able to determine.
I mean, that's practically correct and true that they would, but like I said, I just think that was one of those.
I understand, Your Honor, but we're trying to have a fair trial, and we're trying to follow the rules. And we've been saying this all week. We just want to follow the rules.
Okay, we're gonna try to follow the rules.
Your Honor,
Right?
I would like to take another matter briefly, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
I'll step up. I would like to take up a matter briefly, Judge. We discussed this pre-trial as it relates to the testimony of Mr. Lester Sanders. The state indicated to the court that his testimony would more than likely, well, it would be aligned with the proffer under which he received his plea agreement. Now, in Mr. Edwards' opening, he has already mentioned things that were not included in that proffer, Your Honor. So I just want to bring it to the court's attention that the state has already been warned about this from the court that, hey, if that's his
Did he make a
statement.
number of proffers? How many proffers did he make?
He made one that got him a plea deal, Your Honor, that was with the Doherty County District Attorney's Office, and that's the one in which they stated they were going to move forward on based upon some objections that we had, because we were trying to figure out which statement are they going with. And they said it's the one in which he did the proffer, and we have the proffer agreement, and that was on March 24, 2024, with the public defender Alan Dasher and the Doherty County District Attorney's Office Tracy Hudson. And the court even cautioned them, well, I don't want to say caution, but brought it to their attention, hey, now if he's saying this, they want to know which proffer or which statement is he going with, and they indicated it's the one he gave in that proffer agreement. So, Your Honor, I just want to bring it to their attention because we have brought this up before, Your Honor.
Are there any changes in that? Does the state stand by what Mr. Collins just represented?
I'm not sure what he's representing, Your Honor. He's saying that, what is he saying?
He's saying that
He knows exactly what I'm saying, Judge.
the proffer that, and I've just heard vaguely about different statements. I don't know one from the other or anything else. So I just asked him the question because I heard references to other statements. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
What statement that you previously indicated that you would be proceeding on the proffer that he gave and that has been provided from 2024? Is it March or May?
It's the one they provided the court with when they didn't want to allocate on the record, Your Honor. That was from March 24, 2024, his third interview.
Okay. His third interview. Does that not ring a bell with the state?
Well, let me understand, Your Honor. If I'm understanding, every proffer, any proffer that would be used, has been provided by the state to the defense. I'm not.
All three
Yeah,
interviews are evidence.
There was an
admissible
issue
in this trial.
with his first time trying to plead. The court didn't take it because the state or either the public defender, Mr. Alan Dash representative, there was an issue about an allocution being placed on the record, at which time the state wanted to meet with Your Honor to provide the court the documentation or the statement in which Mr. Sanders was to testify to and in which they were proceeding with this plea under. That's what they gave to the court. That's what they confined him to. That's what the state's presentation needs to be confined to. He's already said he broke down crime with the GBI that never happened in that proffer they gave you, Your Honor. And there's other things as well.
She said, are they
Are they
consistent?
Is one I know the additional information may have come out
Right.
subsequently.
Right.
But are they generally consistent?
I think
build on each other?
I think generally consistent, build on each other. Are there certain facts that he might have said one thing this, one thing that? Yes. But are they generally consistent regarding the substance? So I'm just confused that the defense can come in and say that you can't use anything else he said in 8 hours of interviews with the GBI, which is unfolding his admission and confession regarding participation in this matter.
So my question is, does he supplement and answer more thoroughly at one point than he does the other point?
Yes.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
just
the
not
same,
true.
he sticks to the same conclusion.
The same conclusion that the child was burned in the bathtub.
It's the same representation, but he expounds on it more
Yes.
later
Yes.
than earlier.
That's just not true, Your Honor.
It is true.
He did an interview. He gave one scenario. Now, I agree with them, a general, but we're talking about some huge pieces of this that speaks to this charge about a murder, about an aggravated battery, all of that, Your Honor. His story changed as to what happened. His story even changed as to what he alleged Miss Odom did, Your Honor. That's not a small detail. Furthermore, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like they misled the court. They met with the court and gave the court an interview that they said, this is what he's going to testify to. This is what his plea is based on. So that's also a huge issue, Your Honor, because now they're walking back their position to the court, or their assertion to the court that this is what he's going to testify to. And Your Honor, you allow them to enter the plea, and now they're walking it back. Are they going to walk back his plea now? Because that's a misrepresentation to the court.
Was it stated this is what he's going to plead to, the facts and nothing else? I mean,
Okay, all this started because the defense is saying that they don't want, that you shouldn't ask questions that you don't have a good basis for as it relates to this witness. Okay? And
Understood.
The court is going to say, I don't find that question to be in contravention of that. I think that was a spontaneous question on her part, and I don't know what she was going to do with the information when she finished. Okay? I don't know if she was going to try to find another witness at the last minute or what she was going to do. But that, other than that, that question had no real significance to me.
Agree, Your Honor, but that's...
She wasn't eliciting the fact that the man was dead. I don't think she was doing that.
I apologize, Your Honor. My address in the court was on Mr. Edwards' opening statement. When he made representations of what Mr. Sanders did in this interview, that was the first interview. But again, Your Honor, I see where this is going. They made a representation to the court that, here you go, Your Honor, we want the court to listen to his proffer. This is what he's proceeding on. This is what he's getting his plea agreement on. This is what we want the court to judge that on. But now they're getting outside of that. And I want to say the court, you kind of cautioned them almost, because I want to say you said it's kind of confining him to this. And they proceeded. That's why they met with Your Honor, to convince the court to hear what he was going to testify to. We beat that issue down, Your Honor.
They didn't necessarily meet with me. I think
Well, I
I was dropped off
apologize.
to my office, but I didn't.
They provided the court his third interview,
That's the mail.
March
March
24,
24.
2024, with their investigator, and I believe it was their office, and his attorney, Your Honor. And so we hashed this out. And I think even Mr. Edwards said, well, Judge, they have his proffer. That's what he's going to testify to, or something to that nature. But now he's getting outside of it, and he's adding things that they're ultimately seeming like they're walking it back, because that's not what they represented to the court.
Just to clarify, because I wasn't there that day. So was it the ruling of the court or the representation, or was it, first of all, a ruling of the court that we cannot use statements of this person who's going to testify and there's a recording of it that the defense has had for over a year? I guess that's my first question, because I was not present that day. My second thing is saying that Mr. Edwards said, well, this is what he's going to testify to, which is all generally the same, and any inconsistencies are right for impeachment. I'm just trying to get a clarification as to where we are with that. Mr. Edwards may have.
And, Your Honor, this is...
If I may add also.
Hold on. Let's back this up. This is going too far.
Yeah, sure.
when I did not listen to that tape because as we left there, I thought they were going to restructure the plea agreement, which they ultimately did. And the second plea agreement didn't come down until someday, the Wednesday before this trial started.
Friday,
But you remember we were at the jail that Wednesday.
yeah, oh, yes, Your Honor.
And
Yes,
the
Your Honor.
accusation came in, and that's the first time I heard what he was actually supposed to be pleading to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, let me clear that part up. Okay? So I'm confused as to what points the defense is really trying to make here.
And I am too, Your Honor, because of course, the things that were being done with Mr. Ulysses Sanders had been severed from whatever they were talking about. So again, the actions or any information dealing with the case in relation to the court
But
and
was it not
Ulysses Sanders.
severed after that first plea attempt, after the...
That was for between Mr. Sanders and the court.
Okay, but it seems to me we attempted to plead Mr. Sanders before the case was actually severed, did we not?
From what I recall, that's correct, Judge.
Okay, so at that time he wasn't severed. When I rejected pretty much, or the consensus was she doesn't like this plea, so we're gonna go back to the drawing board.
Exactly,
Right.
Your Honor. The actual plea that he just recently entered into, it states, number 34, X beside it, other defendant Sanders having already made a recorded proffer, Judge. That was his proffer that they represented to the court. And they represented to us that they're going to proceed on. This is why we was arguing Glossop the other day, Your Honor. And at some point, we're going to ask the court to make a ruling on that. That if he testifies contrary to what they, I guess, believed at the time, I'm not sure, or what they know to be a misrepresentation or a falsity, they have to come back on direct and correct that lie.
Okay. But that's a whole different issue from what we're talking about
Correct,
now.
Judge, and that's why I prefaced it with, Judge, I got another issue about the opening. I just want to put it out there, Your Honor.
All right, let's get this show moving, because we'll be arguing for days.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry. Okay. We did have a GBI agent, Hullander, scheduled for my third witness today. I didn't think we would get to him, but I wanted to make sure, because I thought they were doing an opening. But either way, I wanted to make sure we had enough to cover this afternoon. His wife this week was in the hospital in ICU. She is now out as of yesterday. I'm sorry, I said the wrong name. I'm sorry, Agent Dale Wiley. She was out as of yesterday, and he will be here first thing Friday morning. He just asked to get her settled. It was congestive heart failure. She was in the ICU. She did get out yesterday afternoon at some point. I don't know the exact time, but they were communicating with my office through emails. I did see the email myself. So I think the sheriff will probably cover most of the afternoon anyway, but I just wanted to let the court know that was my issue I had with Dale Wiley, former GBI.
So in other words,
but I've got tomorrow. I'm stacking witnesses.
Tomorrow at 8:30 day again.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
8:30.
Yes. I've got them scheduled from 8:30 on, so we'll be packed. But I think this will probably cover most of the afternoon.
All right, y'all want 10 minutes?
Yes, Your Honor, we can have 10 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take 10 minutes.
Thank you.
We start off with some next.
who Officer George knows, like, does he know Officer Brian? Okay, get a picture on Mr. Cornelius, he knows Mr. Lamb. So maybe I'll get all y'all together or something. So then I'll develop them, and then I'll get it out.
Try now. I moved it like right here. You're talking about the tower, right?
So I'm ready to go tomorrow.
Because it was a picture.
It's not getting into that, it's not out there. Maybe I'll share that.
You said.
Oh, this is the difference. This is, and then just give me
James.
Sheriff Carl James.
Yeah, we need Sheriff James, please. Thank you.
Sheriff, please raise your right hand to be sworn, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this cause is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Be seated, make yourself comfortable, and adjust your mic if you need to.
I was just inquiring about the printing in the courtroom, but how long that was going to be. Okay. Yes, if you will state your name for the court.
My name's Carl James.
Okay. And I think he's going to adjust the microphone just a little bit so we can hear you.
Okay.
All right. And Mr. James, are you employed?
I am. I'm the elected sheriff in Ware County right now.
Okay. And how long have you been the sheriff of Ware County?
I've only been sheriff about 4 years, but I'm in my 43rd year of service at Ware County.
Okay.
Sure.
And what were your other titles? And when you say Ware County,
Sheriff's office.
Sheriff's office?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what positions, prior to being elected sheriff, what positions did you hold there?
I've worked a number of positions. I started as a dispatcher at 19 years old and soon was promoted to a patrol deputy. I worked that for about 5 years and then was promoted to detective. I spent about 15 years there before I was promoted to administration and left that line of work, and that's kind of where I've been ever since about the year 2001.
Okay. And in order to be a detective, sheriff, a patrol officer, do you have to have certain trainings or credentials, certifications?
You do, yes, ma'am. You have to have training and certification.
Okay. And what type of, can you explain to the jury kind of what kind of trainings and certifications it's required?
Well, initially, your law enforcement training is required and your certification, and that's to be a law enforcement officer anywhere in the state of Georgia and any county or any jurisdiction. You have to have the training and the certification for that, and then typically upon promotion to any other division, you have to have specialized training in that area as well.
Okay. And what is the certification that officers have to have? Who certifies them? What's that called?
It's the Georgia Peace Officer Standards and Training Council. We just know them as POST, P-O-S-T, Peace Officer Standards and Training Council.
Okay. And you've been post certified your whole law enforcement career?
Since 1984.
1984. Okay. Now I'm going to bring your attention back to 1988. What position did you hold in 1988 at the Ware County Sheriff's Office?
I was serving as a detective.
Okay. And as a detective, what were your duties?
It was generally investigating general crime, anything that may come in from someone tearing down a mailbox to a homicide. It could be anything in between, including drug investigations at that time.
Okay. And were you the only detective with the sheriff's office at that time, or were there multiple detectives?
There was others. There were at least 2 others at that time, besides the captain.
Okay. Having worked at the Ware County Sheriff's Office and now being the sheriff, are you familiar with the Ware County Baby Doe case?
I am, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how are you familiar with that case?
I was actually called, I was working that day, I think December the 21st in 88. I was working that day as a detective and was called to respond to that crime scene.
Okay, and when you responded to you say the crime scene, where did you respond to? Can you kind of give us the location and how you got there, that type of thing?
Right. Well, it's generally in the western part of Ware County. It's off of Georgia 520, US 82. It's probably, I'm going to say 12, 14 miles from the city of Recross, going west towards Atkinson County, Pearson. Eventually, same highway goes through Tifton and on over here to Albany.
And what can you tell us kind of what the area is like? Is it heavy traffic in the area, a lot of houses? Kind of give us a description of that, visual description.
It's a very rural area. At that time, probably no homes that I remember being within 3/4 of a mile of the location. So it was extremely rural in a community known as Millwood. It was the addresses were rural route. We didn't have an address on a road at that time.
Okay. And once you got to the crime scene, who was there when you got there?
When I arrived, my chief deputy at that time that I worked for, Harold Gwynn, was there. The chief deputies, Harold Gwynn and Captain Arnie Herod, and both of those men are deceased today.
Okay. And can you describe the crime scene, what you saw when you got there?
When I arrived, the area was a trash dump, and it was evident from the road. We see that a lot in the rural communities. People will throw out household garbage, and if it starts collecting there, people keep adding things to that. And this area was, there was a trash dump where people would just come by and they would throw out their garbage. There was no garbage collection or anything at residences back then. So,
Were there, when you say people would just throw out their garbage, what was it, mainly like paper trash, or were there other types of items there? Like, what are we talking about?
well, a number of things, anything you consider trash, but largely household garbage was the biggest part of it. Just they would dump out a trash can. I'm not sure people would even use trash bags at that time. They would pour out anything they didn't want. I don't remember that there was not any old appliances there. I don't remember seeing that. We have seen that before.
Okay. And when you got to the scene, were there any non-law enforcement people on the scene?
There were. The gentleman that had located this body, Mr. Williams, he was there. I spoke with him, and a short time later, GBI agent, they were requested to come and assist, and GBI agent James Ellis came, and at the time, another detective was riding with me named Peggy O'Neill.
Okay. All right. Other than the person you had stated you spoke with, did you see any other workers, people working in the woods, or anything else at the crime scene?
None other. Mr. Carter was there, but I don't remember having any interaction with him.
Okay. All right. And so when you got there, what did you do once you got to the crime scene and you stated these two other officers were there? What did you do?
We initially, for a few minutes, waited until the GBI agent, Ellis, could arrive. And when he arrived, I pretty much assisted him with investigating the crime scene. And that was, if I could say, just removing the body that had been found to the extent to that we could, and placing it in a body bag for transport to the morgue, and then processing those items that it was contained in, and taking photographs of those, of course, before they were moved or disturbed.
Okay. All right, let's back up just a little bit. You said GBI agent James Ellis got there. How does that work? Why is the GBI coming to Ware County on this case?
Well, they were called in, as they generally are, on more serious cases like that. They have a lot more resources than your local agencies do. We still call them. We call them quite frequently. And they just have more resources, more personnel, and their focus is on that case that you call them on, where our other crime doesn't stop. We have to continue investigating other things that go on as well.
Okay. And when GBI gets involved in the case, do you or did you as a detective just step out of the case, or how does that work? What's your role at that point?
For the most part, they take what we call lead on the case. They kind of make the decisions, and we will assist them to whatever extent that we can, because we're still responsible to agree, and we can work, and we do work on the case, but primarily they assume the primary role for the investigation.
Okay, and you mentioned that when you got there, you talked about the removal of the body of the deceased child. You talked about removal of the body. Tell me what you saw visually. Did you see a body when you went up there? A grave? What did you see?
It was a wooden box. It was a wooden box that there was a suitcase that had been contained in a wooden box, concrete, plastic. There was what I would call, or what I did call in my report, a gym bag, a zippered gym bag that the body was actually contained in. And but when I arrived, the body was still in the suitcase, but the suitcase had been broken open. And even though concrete had been poured into this suitcase, it wasn't completely encasing the body or that gym bag.
So when you say the concrete wasn't completely encasing that, what did it not encase, I guess?
Well, somewhat on the side of where the gym bag had been placed into the suitcase, so you could still see part of what was in there. It wasn't a solid block of concrete.
And what could you see? Like what item? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, I noticed that you could see that where it wasn't encased, that there was an arm there, a small infant arm that was visible.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand, so you're saying that there was when you got there was a suitcase that had been opened?
That's right.
And there was concrete inside the suitcase, and that's where ultimately the child...
That's right.
...had been placed in a duffel bag?
In a duffel bag inside, right.
Okay. And then you mentioned this wooden item. So that suitcase, had it been somewhere else? Because you mentioned a wooden...
I did. There was a TV cabinet, an old, back in the day, a console TV cabinet, wooden cabinet, and the TV had been removed from it, but the glass parts, of the TV and the tubes had been removed, and the suitcase was inside that with plywood nailed onto the face of the cabinet and the rear to enclose it.
Okay. All right. Your Honor, may I approach?
You may approach.
All right, Sheriff James, I'm going to, and just for the record, I've showed all of these photos to the defense. I'm going to show you what I marked as State's Exhibit 1. I want you to look at that and see if you recognize that.
I do. I remember this photograph. That's my detective car on the right side of the picture there.
I was about to ask you, how do you recognize it?
That's my detective car parked in the picture. I can't say for 100% that I took it, but I do recognize it, and it's the area where this trash pile, where this trash dump was located back in 1988.
Okay, and is that a fair and accurate depiction of how that area looked as you described on that date, December 21st, 1988?
It is. It is.
Your Honor, the state would move to admit State's Exhibit 1.
There's no objection, Your Honor.
States 1's admitted.
And I would put State 1. State 1's would be, just because there's several that are similar, State 1 is road to crime scene. And there's going to be a few, Sheriff. I'm sorry, but
okay.
There's a procedure we have to go through. So I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 2. Do you recognize that?
This is part of the trash pile, but it shows. I'm honestly not certain which part of it, but there was a couple of diapers found and a pillowcase and washcloth. And that these two items that I see in the foreground here, that's what I'm looking at. But that shows the wooded area of this. I mean, it's wooded, but it's also open. This is winter, so there's not much green. The trees have shed and whatnot, so you can see further into the woods at this point than you could during the summer, probably.
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately represent how it looked on that day?
It does.
Your Honor, this time we would tender States 2.
Any objections? States 2
No, Your Honor. No objection.
admitted.
And I would just say we would just do woods with diaper. I'm just trying to distinguish because there's several of them. Several pictures, the woods with different items in it. Sheriff, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3, and I'm going to ask you to look at that and just tell me if you recognize that photo.
I recognize this area, but I can't tell you what those two items are. It looks like a closer up of the previous photo.
Is the area, do you recognize the area as a whole?
Yes, that's the trash dump you can see in the background here. I was looking at the two items in the foreground.
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately represent how it looked on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
We would tender State's Exhibit 3, trash dump.
And Your Honor, to expedite, if the witness could look at all the photographs and if they're fair and accurate, that's his testimony. There would be no objection, Your Honor.
All right. But 3 is admitted.
Yes, Your Honor. And I would just proceed as I have planned if it's okay.
Okay.
Sheriff James, I'm going to ask you to look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 4 and see if you recognize that.
Yes, this is the same wooded area that we had discussed.
And is that a fair and accurate representation?
It is.
And do you recall what this item is, or do you?
The TV cabinet that was near the trash dump.
Okay. I'd just say State's Exhibit 4, TV cabinet.
Okay.
Sheriff James, I'm going to show you what's been marked, previously marked as State's Exhibit 5. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of what you saw that day?
It is. It is.
And at this time, we would tender State's Exhibit 5 into evidence.
And what are we calling State 5?
State's Exhibit 5, TV stand.
TV stand, thank you. I got TV cabinet for 4.
Yes. If I did in State's Exhibit 4, I'm requesting to tender State's Exhibit 4 and 5.
No objection.
Okay.
Okay, to 4 and 4 or 5, correct? Both admitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
I was going to admit them all.
Now let's, Sheriff James, let's talk about State's Exhibit 5. So to the left of that photo, and I'm fixing to request to publish it in just a minute. What is that?
On the left side is it's a close-up of the TV cabinet that we discussed with the.
Okay. What is in front of that? What's that item?
There's some what I call plastic wrapping, or just some plastic on the ground that has got some parts of concrete on it, but further on, just a foot or 2 further than that, is this suitcase that we've been talking about.
Okay, Your Honor, I would request permission to publish State's Exhibit 5.
Okay. State's Exhibit 5 having been admitted. Permission to publish.
I know sometimes it has a glare. Okay.
Yes, please. Let's see what that, if that helps. It looks like it got grainy all of a sudden. Because it's not enough light, we need more light.
Sometimes it can do that.
We're going to give it some more light. That's better. It's not as defined, but it's
And we've got some that we're going
Okay.
to do a little closer up. So, but just generally, you had stated the item to the left, the brown-looking thing. What is that again?
That's the TV cabinet that we've been talking about.
Okay. And you had mentioned just a minute ago that there was some plastic. Does that plastic have anything to do with either one of those containers?
Yes, ma'am. It was also in the TV cabinet, the plastic sheeting there on the ground.
Okay. And then above or in front of the plastic sheeting, what is that?
That's the suitcase that contains the concrete and the body that we were talking about.
Okay. And okay, that doesn't want that one. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6. I'll deem that suitcase. Can you look at that, see if you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize that?
Well, I remember seeing this photograph that is the suitcase and the concrete that was in the suitcase with the gym bag.
Do you remember seeing that day you went out there to investigate?
I do.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of what it looked like on that day, December 21st, 1988?
Yes, ma'am.
Permission to publish State's Exhibit 6, and we would tender it and say suitcase if I hadn't.
Any objections to State 6?
No objection, Your Honor.
State 6 admitted. Permission to publish.
Sheriff James, how did y'all take photos back in 1988? Now, I was alive then, but I'm just asking how the law enforcement, how the Ware County Sheriff's Office took photos back then.
We used 35 millimeter film. That was before the day of digital cameras and whatnot, but we all had film and cameras, and we would typically take our film to a processor or to maybe Walmart when they had a photo lab, places like that.
Okay. And in this particular case, do you know once photos were taken, which you've already testified to, you were there, you're investigating, and you may even taken some of the photos.
Right.
Do you know what, once photos were taken in this case, what happened, how that, did they go to Walmart or did they go to somewhere else?
No, I indicated in my report when I wrote it back then that they were given to the GBI for processing. They had their own lab or their own ability to process photographs, not only for the agents, but he took my photographs as well, or my canisters of film, the Kodak round 35 millimeter canister.
Okay. All right, so looking at the screen, this looks a little different as far as, I guess, the positioning of the inside, or maybe we're just closer up. Can you describe what this picture is, what this picture shows?
As I said, it shows a blanket and the gym bag and the concrete with the suitcase being opened.
The part that looks sort of, just trying the best way to describe it, is kind of white or gray that's on the ground. It's kind of a square. What is that?
And the part in the foreground or the one?
If you just point, yes, right now.
The concrete. That's
He's pointing to the bottom, the very bottom, not the suitcase, but what's almost laying on the ground.
yes, the concrete that I described, that I said it didn't completely encase the gym bag.
Okay.
When it was.
Now you mentioned blanket, the blanket sticking out. Is that
Right.
what this brown part is up there, or
Yes.
tan? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, you can take that down, Emily, please. Sheriff Jones, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 7, suitcase with blanket. I'm going to let you look at that, see if you recognize that.
Yes, ma'am. This is a closer photograph, close-up photograph of the previous one.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of how it looked on that day you were there?
It is.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit State's Exhibit 7, suitcase with blanket, and ask to publish if there's no objection to admission.
There's no objection.
State 7 admitted, permission to publish granted.
Thank you. I was just looking, it's kind of... So it looks... Is this a different angle, or is the concrete out more, or what's going on there as far as that photo?
As I said, to me, it's a closer up photo. You can see the concrete as it partially encases the inside of the suitcase.
And based on your investigation and then you being at the crime scene, did this concrete block, because it looks like it has the indentations of the suitcase or the form of the suitcase, did it just fall out, or how did it get out of there?
The gentleman that found this suitcase didn't know what he had found. He thought maybe it was a cache of drugs or something like that, and he tore in to this suitcase by kicking it open. Mr. Williams had, and I guess if I can, went into the woods. He was a truck driver, a log truck driver. They were cutting wood near there, and he had went into the woods to use the restroom. That's how he discovered it initially. And when he saw it, then it's what he told me, that he kicked it open.
All right, you can take that down. Sheriff Jones, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 8. And I would call that trunk with victim. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize that?
Well, I recognize the people standing in this photo, and this is one that I would have taken because the GBI agent Ellis on the left side of the photo is holding a camera, taking a photograph as well, and then the other one in the image standing is Captain Arnie Herron. He was the chief investigator for the sheriff's office at the time.
Okay. And I'll ask you the same thing. Is that a fair and accurate representation of what you saw that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Or what you took, the photo you took that day? Your Honor, I would ask to admit States 8, Trump and Bickley.
Any objections to States 8?
No objection, Your Honor.
States 8 is admitted.
Permission to publish?
Permission to publish granted.
Okay, you had said that you knew you took the picture because you knew the people in the photograph.
And the fact that Agent Ellis is holding a camera there at the top left.
Which one's Agent Ellis?
The one to my left at the very top of the screen, you can see that he's holding his arms up. He's taking a shot downward.
And what is this? I know it's a little difficult to see, but we got
the image that's in front, the foreground is the suitcase, and to the right is the plastic sheeting that we talked about.
And you said to the right. You said to the right's the plastic sheeting. What's that square looking piece that looks like it's been torn or something? What is
that? That's part of the plywood.
Okay, that
Here.
the logger or truck driver.
Part of the plywood from the cabinet.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and then to the left, you said that's the suitcase.
Yes.
And then in front of that.
You're talking about?
Yes,
Here.
and he's pointing to like the brown kind of part and it looks white.
Yes, that's the item, the blanket removed from the duffel bag.
All right, you can take that. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 9. Now it's called this Baby Doe.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, ma'am. That's the child that was in the suitcase, or in the bag in the suitcase.
Yes, sir. And is a fair and accurate representation of how that looked that day?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, State would tender State's Exhibit 9, Baby Doe.
Any objections to States 9?
No objection, Your Honor.
Permission to, are you going
Permission to publish, yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
States 9 is admitted and permission to publish granted.
And again, I know it's a little lighter. I mean, we have what we have to work with as far as the photos and the time frame and that type of thing. What is, if I could direct your attention up to the top left, what is that?
That's the lid of the suitcase.
Okay, all right. And would that be the outside of the lid or the inside?
No, that shows the inside.
Okay. And then to the right of that, you had said that the brown and white was the blanket?
Right, with the little girl, the child.
You can remove that. I'm going to show you Sheriff James, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 10. And I want you to look at that and see if you are able to recognize that photograph.
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize that?
Well, this is again a close-up photograph of the body that was discovered out there.
Okay. And is a fair and accurate representation of how it looked on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, this time we would tender State's Exhibit 10, Baby Doe 2.
Any objections to State's 10?
No, Your Honor,
Baby
no
Doe.
objection.
Permission to publish.
Permission to publish. State's 10, Baby Doe 2 is admitted, and permission to publish granted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you had said this was a close-up of, at the time, before they, did y'all know who the baby was?
No, ma'am.
Did y'all have a name or anything?
We did not.
And when you don't know the name or the identification of a person, any person that's found, then how is that usually handled for law enforcement regarding names and that type of thing?
Well, that's one reason this case went so long is we didn't have any identification. We certainly tried to do that, but DNA was not something available at that time. But what we did do, and this was handled by the GBI, was a facial reconstruction and photographs that were published periodically in the Atlanta Journal, I remember, and local newspapers, just trying to get an identification. That was the first step, but we were unable to.
And so when you don't have a name for a person that is unidentified, is that usually handled by giving some name such as Doe or Jane Doe or
That's right, and that was the just the one that we used in this case was Baby Jane Doe.
So at this point in time, the photos are depicting Baby Jane Doe.
That's right.
Based on 1988. Okay. Was that number 10? I'm sorry. Okay.
That was number, I had it as 10.
And we don't have but a few more. I took some out, Sheriff James. So I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 11, Baby Doe 3.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize that?
I remember seeing this scene or this site when I was out there that day.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of how it looked?
Yes, ma'am.
How the scene looked that you took that? Okay. Your Honor, this time we would ask to admit State's Exhibit 11, Baby Doe 3.
Any objections to State's 11?
No, Your Honor.
State's 11 is admitted, and you're going to publish it?
Yes, Your Honor. I would ask permission to publish.
Permission to publish granted.
And I believe you stated this is depicting the rest of the body,
A close-up of the lower body,
of the lower body.
showing the legs and the feet.
Okay. What was on the body as far as clothing? I know it may be hard to tell here, but you witnessed that. So what, do you remember what?
There was a top and a bottom. I described it in my report, if I may. It was a knit type pullover shirt. On the top part, it had a little a red horse emblem on the left chest, short sleeved, and the bottom was some like thermal pajama bottom pants for.
And were there any undergarments of any kind on that you recall?
The child had a diaper on.
You can cut that down. Is that 11? The last one I just did. Okay, thank you. Sheriff James, we just got 3 more to go. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 12, Baby Doe 4. I want you to look at that and tell me if you recognize that.
Yes, ma'am. Again, this is a photograph of Baby Doe. It also has on the left Captain Arnie Herring in the foreground, and on the right Agent Ellis, GBI Agent Ellis on the right. And again, I would have taken, or I did take this photograph because those two are depicted in the photograph.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of what it looked like on that date, December 21st, 1988?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, State would seek to admit State's Exhibit 12, Baby Doe 4.
Any objections?
There's no objection, Your Honor.
All right.
And I would ask the court permission to publish.
All right. State 12 is admitted and permission to publish granted.
Now, Sheriff, you mentioned that the person, and I'm sorry, the officer in the picture, what was his name again?
The one on the left is Captain Arnie Herring.
Okay, all right. And to the right of him
Is the Baby Doe, and then Agent Ellis at the top right.
Agent Ellis, that's the GBI agent that was
Yes,
assigned?
Agent James Ellis, yes.
Okay. And in the background, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but in the background,
The suitcase with the concrete and the,
okay. Do you know about how long the suitcase was?
I don't. I could guess about 24 to 30 inches, but I don't know exactly. I don't remember.
Okay. All right, Sheriff James, last two. I'm going to show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 13, Baby Doe 5. I'm going to ask you to look at that and see if you recognize that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how do you recognize that?
It's a close-up, again, photograph of the body of Baby Doe.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of what you saw that day when you were on the scene?
It is.
Okay. I would seek to admit that, Your Honor. State's Exhibit 13, Baby Doe 5.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
And I would ask the court for permission to publish.
State's 13 is admitted, permission to publish granted.
Sheriff James, so in the photograph, how the baby is laying, the position she's in, is that how she came out of there, out of the trunk, or did y'all move her in any way or anything like that, or is that how she came out, I guess is my question.
Well, it's somewhat stretched out from there, but the knees, as you can tell, and the lower legs were bent and in close proximity to the body to go inside the gym bag or duffel bag and then into the suitcase.
Okay. So you're saying that right here in this photograph that baby is a little bit more stretched out than she was initially in the suitcase?
That's right.
In other words, she was more, or are you saying she was more so balled up or in a
Compacted or-
compacted, that's a better word, thank you. All right. You can take that down. Emily. That was number, let's make sure, 13. Okay, I had it marked 14. I just wanted to double check before. Sheriff, I'm going to ask you to look at State's Exhibit 14, last photograph regarding this issue, Baby Doe 6, and see if you recognize that.
That is again a photograph of Baby Doe. The top of the suitcase is to the left. There's someone standing. I'm not sure who at the very top.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of how that scene looked?
It is.
Okay. At this time, I would State would seek to admit State's Exhibit 14, Baby Doe 6.
Any objections?
There's no objection, Your Honor.
And I would ask the court permission to publish.
Permission to publish granted. Stage 14 admitted and permission to publish granted.
Your Honor, if I could have just 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
And Sheriff James, you were saying when you were looking at the picture up there that what was to the left, where it looks like legs are standing, what was that?
Part of the suitcase and then someone standing at the top of the
Okay.
picture.
All right. And I noticed there are multiple angles of the photos. There's multiple angles of Baby Doe, of the suitcase, that type of thing. What is the purpose in doing that, taking photos from different angles?
To I just quickly make sure you don't miss anything so that you have all points covered, all positions covered.
Okay. All right. You can take that down, Emily. Thank you. So you've talked about you talked about what you saw when you got there, and talked about the Baby Doe encased in the suitcase and further encased. What did you do then after you took photos or participated with the others and y'all were taking photos? What did you do after that? What other steps did you do regarding your detective role?
We, I say we because it was an effort with myself and Agent Ellis, collected all this evidence, all these things that we've mentioned earlier, parts of the suitcase, the concrete, all of the TV cabinet and the wood associated with it, and other items that we thought may be relevant from that area, from that trash pile.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Sheriff Jones, I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 15. I just want you to look at it and tell me if you recognize what it is.
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know what it is? And we'll go through it all in a minute, but just how do you recognize it?
This was an evidence form that bears my signature.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of the form that you filled out regarding this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask to tender State's Exhibit 15 into evidence as crime scene evidence form 1.
All right, any objections?
There's no objection, Your Honor.
It's 14, it's 15 is admitted.
I'm sorry, State's Exhibit 15, yes, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. Is admitted, permission to you're going to publish it?
Yes, Your Honor, just
Permission
a
to
second. We'll
publish.
go ahead and do
Granted.
16.
You're going to do 6, okay.
Yeah, I should have done both 15A and B, but Sheriff, I'm going to ask you to look at State's Exhibit 16 and see if you recognize that.
Yes, ma'am. It's a continuation, page 2 of the same evidence collection form.
Okay, and does that fairly and accurately represent the form that you completed?
It
on
is,
that day?
yes.
All right, and I would, State would seek to admit State's Exhibit 16, crime scene form 2.
There's no objection, Your Honor.
All right,
Permission to publish both.
all right. State 16 is admitted, permission to publish granted.
That's good. I need to flip it. There you go. There you go. All right, so at the crime scene that day, who all collected evidence?
Myself and Agent Ellis collected the evidence there that day.
Okay, and what is the purpose of this form that we're looking at right now?
It's to show the custody and to maintain the integrity and who had the evidence, who took custody of it.
Okay, and what we'll just kind of go through it. Some of it we've already talked about, so I'm not going to belabor that. But let's talk about item 1. It's a suitcase, but there's some other notations on there as well regarding item number 1. Could you talk about the suitcase? And it says something about tape. What is?
It says the black metal suitcase also had silver tape, and it contained the gym bag and concrete.
And so what is the silver tape? I'm not sure we've talked about that.
It appeared that the lid was taped onto the suitcase to hold it closed.
Okay.
The tape was duct tape, basically, to close the suitcase and keep it closed.
Okay. And you had said the brown gym bag and concrete. So you had mentioned the blanket earlier sticking out of the concrete. So the blanket was inside of the gym bag?
That's right.
Was it just laying in the gym bag? How is the blanket positioned in the gym bag with the baby?
Well, it was wrapped up in the gym bag. I'm not sure how to describe it more than that. It was wrapped up with the baby inside and placed in the gym bag.
Okay, so the baby was wrapped up in the blanket and then placed in the gym bag?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's go to item number 2, and what is that you have on your evidence form?
This just it indicates unused diapers or diapers that did not appear to have been on a child, and they were found at the crime scene, and not sure of the relevance at that time, but we did collect that.
Okay, so how close were the unused diapers to the location of the baby in the suitcase?
They were Just in the same trash pile, just probably 25 feet or so from the body.
Did you, while you were on the crime scene, did you take any, I know you said you took some of the photos and participated in them. Did you do anything else, like take measurements of other things found at the crime scene?
I remember helping Agent Ellis with pulling a tape. I didn't read the tape, but I held maybe what you call the zero end of the tape so that he could, from the roadway, take the measurements.
Right. Okay. Are you still in contact with Agent Ellis? No. Okay.
I probably could, but I hadn't saw him in 25
Long
years
time.
or more.
Okay.
Long time.
It sounds like y'all were the main two
We
working
were.
the case.
We were.
Okay. All right. So let's go to Adam. And how far, I'll just back up just a minute. How far were the unused diapers from the?
Just a few feet.
Okay.
Probably maybe 20, 25 feet, 30 feet. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. But this was unused diapers, though, not the diapers she had on her. Okay.
That was my impression. That's what it appeared, and that's the way that it's listed there.
Certainly. Okay, and what's item number 3?
It's again a couple of items that was collected, and we wasn't sure of the relevance at the time, but it's a pink blaze with pink flower pillowcase and a washcloth.
Okay. Now, when you are at the scene, and I know you said this is a trash dump, no trash bin, isn't that what you said? But basically just a trash dump, like where people throw it out illegally?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So when you're there investigating, would you have picked up just random bags of trash in the wood to collect as evidence? Like, how do you determine what you're going to collect as evidence in this case?
Yeah, it's honestly hard to say, but you would pick up something that you think may tie to the crime scene, be a part of the crime scene, or may lead to a further development in the crime scene. Just and a lot of times you collect things that are worthless, that are not needed, that could be relevant, may or may not be relevant, but you don't pass the opportunity at the time, because if you do, then it's gone. You don't have opportunity to go back and get it again.
Sure.
So,
Would proximity be a factor?
It would, definitely.
So items closer to the suitcase and the baby would play a role. Proximity, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Right.
Okay.
There was no just bags of garbage or nothing like that was collected.
Okay. And item number 4 that you collected, what was that?
That is a newspaper, an Albany Herald newspaper dated October the 8th, 1988. And as you said earlier, it was in close proximity to the trash pile.
Okay.
And it was just a newspaper laying on the ground.
Okay. Did you think that had any significance? I mean, I know you collected it, but did you have any thoughts as a detective about that?
That item led us always to believe that there was a connection to Albany, Georgia. We didn't know that. We had no way to know it for sure. We collected that, and as I said, and wasn't sure, but we always suspected that there was a connection to Albany.
Okay. And we'll move down to item 5. And what is that you collected?
It's at the bottom of TV cabinet, appears to have Bickley, the word Bickley wrote on it, and it's marked with item E.
So, do you know what Bickley means? Is that anything? Does that have any relevance to you being an investigator in Ware County? I mean, a detective in Ware County?
Bickley, there is a community in Ware County known as Bickley. It's a good distance away. Ware County is a large rural county, and this community is a long ways away, but there is a community much like Millwood where it's very rural, very spread out, and the name of it is Bickley.
Okay. And you also said it said marked with E. Was that?
That's how we designated.
Okay, I got you. That doesn't have anything to do with Bickley.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to double check. Yeah, I see D's right ahead of that. Okay. And on 6, what was that you collected?
It's a wooden board that was from the TV cabinet, and I noted on this form that it appeared to have blood on it.
Okay. And 7?
The top of the suitcase, and it's noted with concrete as well, marked item G.
Okay. And 8?
The quarter-inch plywood, it's white on one side, again appeared to have blood on it, marked with item H.
Was this plywood in item 8 part of the TV cabinet?
Yes.
And then what's item 9?
That's concrete parts, concrete that was inside the cabinet, inside the TV cabinet, but outside of the suitcase.
Okay, so there was, just to make sure I understand this correctly, you had testified and we saw pictures, there was concrete in the suitcase.
That's right.
But there was also concrete on the outside as well?
Right.
Okay. All right, if you can just change forms. And I think you testified about 10 was the plastic sheet.
Right. It also was inside the TV cabinet.
Okay. And 11?
Again, plywood. This was 3/4 inch plywood, and it indicates with nails it was taken from the back side of the TV cabinet. Marked item K.
Okay, and last 12?
TV cabinet face. This was clearly the front of the old console TV, and it had 3/4 plywood on it as well.
I'm just trying to picture this. The plywood, was all the plywood part of the actual the TV stand, or was there plywood added? Because I was looking at the nails part.
The plywood was added on the front and back. This would have been a square, older console TV, and it would have been wooden for the top, bottom, and both sides would have been wooden, and then there was plywood added to the front and back.
Okay. And did
to enclose it.
To enclose it. Okay. All right. All right. If you'll switch back to the first form. And so once you collected this evidence, what did you do with the evidence?
Most of it was transported back to the sheriff's office where it was stored in the evidence room until it could be taken to the crime lab. The suitcase, the concrete, the bag, those things were taken to the morgue at the hospital. They smelled really bad, and so they were taken to the morgue and transported to the lab with the body.
And the bottom, where it has the lines under where it says chain of custody, what's the purpose of those lines under there? It appears that your signature's on it.
That's the dates that they were released and to whom they were released to.
Okay. And what's the purpose of that?
It was transferred. The custody was transferred to the crime lab.
Okay. And why would the evidence go to the crime lab?
To aid in the investigation, any type of evidence or anything that they could find or obtain from those items it would have been examined closely under microscope or however they would do it. I'm not sure exactly, but however they would do that, they would be looking for evidence for an identification or cause of death and different things like that.
Based on your law enforcement experience over all these years, have more, and this may seem like a pretty plain question, but I still want to ask, because with your experience, has the methods of investigation, forensic science, things you can test, has that evolved since 1988?
Oh, it has, definitely.
And would you say substantially, just based on your knowledge of investigation and your cases that you did while you were a detective?
Yes, ma'am. There's been a lot of advancement, a lot of changes since 1988.
And once you collected the evidence, did you have any further involvement? Did you do anything else regarding the case?
The only other thing that I remember helping with was a canvass of the area where where the body was found. It was about 0.6 of a mile to the Satilla River, and beyond that is Atkinson County, Georgia. You go into another county, and in that area, it's an area known as the Forks community, and there's some black residents in that area, and so we went and canvassed, what we call canvass. I mean, we talked to every household, every residence there to try to get a lead in the case, try to determine who the child was and what happened.
Okay. And to your knowledge, was there any media coverage? I would just say media, whatever media was back then. To your knowledge, was it ever in a newspaper or anything like that?
It was.
Okay.
There was articles locally. I'm not sure about any other coverage, but
Sure.
At that time we did have a daily newspaper in Recross, and it was covered then by them.
And as you said that the GBI sort of took lead, but you were there if needed. If they had requested Ware County Sheriff's Office service or your service, since you were working right along with the GBI agent, would you have followed through with any request? Or
Certainly, yes.
okay, that's all I have right now. Thank you, Sheriff. The defense, I'm sure, will have some questions.
All right, the defense may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Sheriff.
Hey, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
You were gracious enough to meet with our team about a week ago, is that correct?
Last Friday?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And we discussed some photographs. Do you recall?
I do.
And I believe you were trying to recall the origin or how those photographs were developed. Is that
That's
correct?
right.
And I know, did you say you've been in law enforcement for about 43 years?
Coming up January the 17th will be 43 years.
And you talked about your post-training. Is that right?
That's right.
And that's when you go and take classes on essentially how to be a police officer and make sure that you're up to date with the law. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, sir.
And you have a little over 3,900 hours. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know that number of training, post-training hours. I don't know that number.
Well, do you recall taking classes in ethics and professionalism?
Oh, absolutely. That's along the way. Those are definitely classes. And
you also take classes on presenting evidence in court. Is that correct?
somewhat, yes. It's more of an acquired skill, I guess you could say. I mean, you own the job type training.
Right. And part of the reason why you testify is to tell the jury what you saw. Is that correct?
That's right.
And when you tell the jury what you saw, do you try to tell it in a way that is accurate to what you actually saw.
That's right.
Your Honor, for the record, may I publish to the jury State's Exhibit 6, 7, and 8?
6, 7, and 8.
No lights. Now, Sheriff, I just want to make sure you weren't involved with the developing of these photographs. Is that correct?
That's right.
Your Honor, may I have a moment while the jury reviews the photographs?
Yes.
May I approach you, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, Sheriff, can you explain the purpose of taking photographs again? Is it to assist others in their investigation later on?
Right, yes, sir, to accurately depict and to show the scene as it was at the time.
Because other people may have to rely on those photographs in order to make certain decisions. Is that correct?
That's right.
And for example, this jury is going to have to review those photographs and ultimately make a conclusion. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you see a reddish brown tint in those photographs?
I'm not sure. The leaves are brown, the background. I'm not sure where you're looking at.
Okay. Just the general.
I don't, nothing jumps out at me.
So the picture looks exactly clear as if it did on the day that you were on the scene.
Yes, yes. I don't see anything with reddish brown. Photographs themselves.
Like, yes, do you see a tint?
This is, these photographs were period correct, if you will, for that.
Sheriff, I'm not trying to trick you.
Well,
I'm just asking.
I'm not sure.
We know this is 1988.
They do have a somewhat, I would describe maybe a brownish or somewhat tint to it. It's definitely not the best color photographs like you would see today. I'm not following.
Right. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just asking, is there a tint?
There is somewhat, I guess. It's just inherent to the photograph.
And did you speak with anyone other than the defense team about these photographs?
No. Earlier today, I did review some of the photographs with the prosecution. That was my first time seeing the photographs. As when you came over last Friday, I told you that I hadn't seen them. I didn't have any photographs in my file. They had all been given to the GBI.
Right. I believe you had one photograph in the file that we saw.
That's right. And it's a photocopy of, I think, one that we viewed here today.
And it was my understanding from what you were saying is you take the picture with the camera, and then the camera is taken somewhere else to be developed. Is that correct?
The film canister, 35 millimeter at that time, and it was what we know as 35 millimeter film. It was a a small canister about this big around and about this long, and it has film, and you were able to load it in the camera, and once it's exposed, you rewind it into the canister, and so it's sealed. The film is then sealed, and you would have to take it to a photo lab to be processed to develop the photographs from it.
And it's my understanding, I don't know if you talked to anyone about the photographs, but back in the 80s, they used this thing called cyan dye. Are you familiar with any type of dye that is used?
I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't, you said a dye?
Yes, in order to develop, there's a chemical that's used.
I'm not. I never, I don't have any experience with the chemicals other than, the photographs.
And we discussed this on Friday, is that correct?
Yes, sir, we did.
And I believe you indicated you hadn't reviewed your file at that point in time, is that correct? You hadn't reviewed your file.
I had not. I had been out of town that prior week, and I pulled it. I pulled the case file from the records division when you arrived.
And we asked you about the photographs, and then
right.
You had heard nothing else about the photographs till this morning?
That's right. Yes.
Was there anyone from the district attorney's office or the GBI talk to you that maybe the photographs with the dye experienced thermal fading?
I've not heard that term
I'm
or
going to
discussed.
object. The sheriff's already testified he didn't know anything about dye or development of photos. His prior testimony was that he took them to Walmart or gave them to the GBI. He's already testified, so that's basically asked and answered, and he would have to speculate to even give anything regarding development of photos.
That wasn't my question, Your Honor.
My report
What was your
indicates they were
My
given.
question was, did anyone talk to him specifically about
No.
the process of developing these photographs
No.
this morning?
No, sir.
And his answer is no.
Right.
Yes. Did you know if cyan dye is used over time, it would create a reddish brown tint?
I'm not familiar with that term, so no, I'm not familiar with that process or that that whatever it may cause.
Because this case has gone for since 1988, is that right?
That's right.
And multiple agents and sheriff's deputies have been lead on this case, is that correct?
The GPI has been lead on it, but there have been people from the Ware County Sheriff's Office that did follow some leads and did work on this case over the years.
And would those deputies report to you?
Probably, no, sir. No, sir.
But just as a general chain of command, are you over the sheriff's department?
I am now. At that time, I wasn't. If I follow you, at that time, I was a detective, and this, and in one of the pictures, Captain Arnie Herron was the supervisor, and I stated that I was a detective. I stayed in that division until about 2001, when I went into administration as a training officer at that time. And they would not. I mean, as sheriff now, someone would report to me, but up until I became the sheriff in 2021, they would not have. They would have reported to someone else, a division commander, not me.
So no one would have reported to you if optical brightening agents were used on these photographs? If optical brightening agents were used, they wouldn't report that to you?
No, sir. I've not heard that.
And so you would have no knowledge because they wouldn't report that to you?
That's, well, since 2021, I would have, I think I would have known it. I mean, that may be an investigative something, or technique that I may not have known about, but I've never heard that in any of these.
Okay. And I want to go back to December 21st of 1988.
Yes.
You responded, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell the jury what Corridor Z is?
Quarter Z is also known as Georgia 520, and again, it's the US 82. It's the highway that leaves Waycross, between Waycross and, as I said, it goes through Atkinson County and a number of other counties through Tifton and on over to Albany.
And you were aware that during that time period, they were changing Corridor Z and it was expanding.
It was at that time and before a 2-lane state route, but it was under construction at that time. They were building a second lane and adding a second lane to it.
And when you say a state route, do you know who would have to supervise the state route? Would that be the county or the Department of Transportation?
It would be the state, yes.
So the state of Georgia?
Yes. If I understand you correctly, the county would not do any repairs or any interaction on the roadway because it's a state highway.
And with your training and experience with law enforcement and investigating, is it your, I guess, expectation that the state of Georgia, the Department of Transportation, will keep records of who was working on that road?
I'm not sure. I have to imagine there would be a lot of contractors and subcontractors. If they kept a record of that, I wouldn't know.
What, back in December 1988, can you review your report to see if you called the Department of Transportation?
I've reviewed the report since you and I talked, and I don't remember seeing anything about that. That is something that we did talk about. Could it have been? Could this child have been connected to someone that did work on the highway?
And also around this time, do you remember a gentleman named Willie Jenkins? He lives in Waycross. Do you know Willie Jenkins?
I'm sorry, I don't remember that name.
Do you know Eccles Construction?
Eccles?
Construction. Were you? I'm sorry.
I don't. I'm not familiar with that.
Were you aware that they were actually building portions of Duncan Bridge Road on that day? The actual bridge over the Satilla River.
I don't remember that. No, sir, I don't.
So did you go down the extra 0.6 of a mile to see the bridge?
Yes, we crossed over the bridge during our canvass into the as I said, the Forks community that's beyond the bridge. The county line is right near the bridge, so we would have been in Atkinson County.
So I just want to make sure I understand Forks and Duncan Bridge Road. Do they both touch, I guess, Highway 82? Essentially, if you drive up Duncan Bridge Road, can you end up on Forks Road?
You can, but I'm just referring generally to a community, and when it's very rural, very sparse, but it's just an area known as the Forks, and this canvas, can you really elaborate on the canvas? Do you recall what you did in this canvas? What I remember that we did was went to all the residents there, all the homes in that area, and we talked to people just trying to develop a lead or determine who this child was.
Do you recall an individual named Stoney Winkfield in your report?
I remember that name being mentioned.
And do you recall do you have your report with you?
I do. I'm not sure exactly where that's at.
What I showed you, would refresh your recollection?
I see that page now. So
this page, is this referring to the canvas that you did?
This is a report that is relating to, and it is by Detective O'Neill. She was the investigator that was riding with me when we responded initially to that scene.
I guess the report that Ms. O'Neill wrote that you were with, did he identify?
Said Detective O'Neill, Peggy O'Neill, prepared this report, and but I don't have a memory, and I didn't do a report that they were talked to. There was one. It indicates that Irene Taylor was the only black person in the area that had a small child. And it says, myself and Captain Herron attempted to locate Irene Taylor, but did not find her at home on that date. And so that would have been Peggy O'Neill and Captain Herron.
And can you tell the court and the jury what other steps in this canvass that was done?
What other steps were?
Was there any other people that were visited?
I don't have a report of the ones that we talked to. I was with Agent Ellis, and I relied on him at that point as the lead investigator to record those places and interviews that we went to.
And when we visited you on Friday, you let me actually look at your report. Is that correct?
Pardon?
You let me look at your report. Is that correct? On Friday? Do you recall letting me look at your report?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you have the pink sheet that was attached?
I think this is it.
And if it was attached to your report, was that something that was turned into you?
It was. It was turned in and made a part of the file.
Do you recall if you ever read that document?
I don't remember. This person that wrote this report was a dispatcher. And
do you recall whether or not that person saw sufficient?
If I may refer here. It's talking about a suspicious vehicle and a yellow Toyota or Nissan pickup truck traveling real slow that stopped. I'm assuming stopped on the roadway, driven. Let's see, Matthew stated the driver was a black male, and I can't make out that word, maybe pickup, had a shovel in the back body.
Can you review your report and tell me what actions your agency took after receiving that report?
I can't, and I'm sorry, again, I wasn't part of this follow-up, and I don't remember why I wasn't, but again, if there had been a report generated at this point, I don't see a date on this report, but it had to be relative to the time because it's included with my report. I'm sorry, yes, sir, it's a date written, handwritten on the bottom, and it's 12/23 of '88. But any of these follow-up or reports generated from this would have been by Agent Ellis, and I apologize, keep saying that, but he was the lead investigator, and so he would have been responsible for documenting these interviews and these follow-ups.
So, if I understand you correctly, if you received this report, you would have turned it over to the GBI.
That's right.
And it would have been the GBI's responsibility to follow up.
That's right.
Okay.
And I mean, that's what would have happened. As I said, I don't particularly remember this report. I don't remember following up on this.
And on direct examination, I believe you testified a lot about property receipts.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And I believe you said it maintains the integrity.
Yes, sir.
Because technology and waste and if you
Change.
know where these items are when the technology develops, that DNA wasn't available on December 21st of 1988. Is that correct?
That's right.
Do you know when DNA?
Is that it became available a few years later. I know we used it in another case in Ware County in the early 1990s. It was a very prominent, played a prominent role in that case about 1993.
Okay. For the record, Your Honor, I'm publishing State's Exhibit 15.
Evidence form?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe I also heard you testify on direct that you signed this form.
Yes, sir.
And just so I'm correct, your signature is right here.
That's right.
And
Those
you read that
three.
handwriting, right?
I do. Yes, sir.
And do you recall what day you turned in items, specific items? Is there a way to use this sheet to figure out what day you turned in items?
Those items, their dates is to the left of my name, that they would have been transferred, or the custody would have been transferred.
And it's important to put the date that it was transferred so you can keep a record of where these items are. Is that correct?
Right.
And so if you put the items 8, which is a quarter plywood, white on one side, appears to have blood on it. Item 5, which is the bottom of the TV cabinet with Bickley written on it. Item 6, which is a wooden board taken from a TV cabinet, appears to have blood on it. On line number 2, that means that you actually turned it over on December 27th of 1988.
That's right.
And that's because your signature is on that form?
Yes, sir.
And you also have the next line, item 3, which is a pillowcase with pink flowers and washcloth.
Yes, sir.
Item 2, which is unused diapers. And item 7, which is the black metal suitcase top.
Yes, sir. That's right.
That also would have been turned over
That's
on
right.
December 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that because it's on this form.
That was the date that I signed it, and it was signed as received by the person at the crime lab.
And on the first line, it indicates that some stuff was turned over on December 22nd of 1988. Is that correct?
The item number 1, the suitcase, it was sent along with the body it was kept in the cooler at the morgue, and it was sent with the body. That's why it's just labeled Crime Lab Decatur, Georgia.
And do you recall how the body in the cooler got to the crime lab in Decatur?
The practice and procedure then was the crime lab had a transport van that would come and pick those items up and transport them there, and then bring them back when necessary.
And do you recall how the other items on lines 2 and 3 of State's Exhibit 15 would be transported?
As I said before, my signature is on here, the crime lab signature is on here, but I do not have a specific memory of being present and giving those to the crime lab myself.
And just for the record, States Exhibit 16, would that be your same memory that you don't have a specific memory of turning it over?
That's right, and along with the same signature from the crime lab person.
And generally, as part of your law enforcement training and experience, do you fill out these property receipt forms at the same time that you turn it over the materials?
They would have been prepared when the items were placed into evidence or taken. They would have been inventoried, and the form would have been filled out when they were collected.
But when you say inventoried and form filled out, are you referring to the top portion?
Yes, that's right.
And you recognize this as your handwriting?
Yes, sir. It is. I don't.
Now, do you see the same handwriting at the top of that form? Where we discussing the specific items, do you see that same handwriting? Is that a fair and accurate representation or depiction of what defendants 1 and 2 purport to be?
Yes.
You know, this time we'll move the tender defendants 1 and 2.
Okay, defendants, what's the,
It's a property receipt from GI.
this is defendant what? The one that's on the screen.
This is States Exhibit 16.
Okay, so defendants 1 and 2, he has?
Yes, the witness has.
Okay. Any objection?
Let me understand, Your Honor,
Do y'all have a copy of it? Defendants 1 and 2?
if it's the same exhibit as states 15,
Your Honor, I would object to speaking.
Okay, so have they seen 1 and 2?
We got it from, yes, Your Honor.
You got it from them, but was it labeled?
Yes, I certainly don't. I just gave it to them.
Okay. Any objections to states 1 and 2?
Sir, can I?
I mean, defense 1 and 2.
Can I?
One second. I'm trying to get this straight first.
Your Honor, Mr. Edwards, can we have that over here,
Have
Mr.
that over
Edwards?
again.
It has a question that I can't answer without seeing the document. And yes, I have multiple copies of, there were duplicates of this document. So we have multiple digital copies of the report to answer the court's question.
So I'm just saying, this is the same thing. Just gave him, you know, if there's something.
Your Honor, are you ready?
Sure. Okay. Now, the question is what? Any objection to, is
it
defense?
does not appear to be a duplicate of what we submitted, Your Honor.
That is
no
not?
objection.
No objection.
Is that admit, Your Honor?
Is admitted.
Permission to
Position
publish?
1 and 2.
If I
Or
could,
admitted. Positions, permission to publish granted on both defense 1 and 2.
And Sheriff James, I just want to make sure I understand this properly, correct?
I was trying to correct that. In looking at this, the numbers, I feel like it looked like my handwriting, the numbers on the far left, but I'm just not certain about the writing on the evidence form itself. I recognize all of those things. I know what they are, but I'm not sure. I can't tell you that I wrote that on there.
So is it your testimony that you didn't, on December 22nd of 1988, write that you turned over items 2, 3?
I did.
So that is your handwriting?
Yes, as I said, the numbers appear to me to be my handwriting, but I can't tell you that those descriptions that written there, I'm just not certain that they are in my handwriting.
So when I'm pointing for the record on line 2 at the bottom of the screen, where it has 2, 3, 5, and 6 turned over December 22nd, 1988, is it your testimony that that's not your handwriting?
That's different than the form. That's different than from the form that I have. The copy, I don't have the original, but that's different from the copy that I have.
And again, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8, do you know whether or not they were in your possession on December 22nd? Or did you turn them over on December 22nd?
The only one turned over on the 22nd was the suitcase, item number 1, that went to the crime lab along with the body.
So you didn't turn over the remaining items as listed?
That not on the 22nd. That indicates on the 27th.
And Sheriff, I just want to make sure I understand. You have to document properly so that you don't lose items. Is that correct?
That's right.
And I know you're the sheriff now, so people report to you. And I believe you were present at a 2012 meeting. Do you recall that? A 2012 meeting about this case?
I'm not sure.
If I showed you a document with refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
So if you were present, then you probably were involved longer than 1988. Is that correct? If you were present and actively participating in meetings?
In 2012, I was working at the sheriff's office, but not as an investigator. If so, it would have been
You were a
just
captain
for
then, I believe, right?
historical. I think that's right. Yes. I think that's right.
And you're on the approach.
You may approach.
Recollection. And I'm presenting the witness a GBI summary, and just read it, and when you're done, just look up.
You need to refresh them.
Okay. All 3 pages or just the top one? It shows 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3.
Once your memory is refreshed, just
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is your recollection refreshed?
Somewhat.
Okay. And do you remember in this meeting whether or not you hypothesized a theory about the connection?
To the road crew, yes, I think that's an accurate representation.
And going back to this canvas, was that one of your initial thoughts, was that the Albany newspaper was involved and that the child was connected to Albany?
Yes, sir. We thought it was, but we didn't have anything to support it.
Well, did you call Albany Police or the Dougherty County Sheriff to do a canvas?
I didn't, and I'm not sure exactly what was done in that regard.
Did you do anything to act on the suspicion that the child was related to Albany?
I did not. Again, with the GBI being lead on this, we would have relied upon them to take the lead and to do that, especially since it was out of our area, out of our jurisdiction.
I just want to go back to the scene again.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the child was wearing a diaper. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were wavering about whether or not it was two other diapers that were related. Is that correct?
Right. Yes, with the two unused diapers.
Well, did you look at the two unused diapers to see if it was a similar type of diaper as the one the child was wearing?
I don't remember. I don't remember doing that. I'm sure it probably was, but I don't have a recollection, and it's not recorded in my report.
And do you have an understanding of where those diapers are right now?
The last accounts I had, this evidence was turned over to the GBI, but at some point later on, because of space requirements and the case had become cold, and I don't remember when that was, that evidence was brought back to or some of it was. And again, I wasn't part of the investigations, or I wasn't a detective at that time. So I think the large parts were brought back to the sheriff's office.
And when you say brought back, are you referring to placed in that shed behind the courthouse where the key got lost?
I'm not familiar with that. There was a building behind the courthouse that's no longer there. It was torn down. It's where the district attorney's office actually was housed as well. It was an old hospital building, and in one of the rooms on an upper floor, we were using that as evidence storage. It was, of course, locked and secured.
Okay. And I understand that you didn't measure the suitcase. Is that correct?
That's right.
And do you know if anybody weighed the suitcase?
Weigh it?
Yes, to see how much it weighed.
Not that I remember.
So you don't know how much the suitcase with the concrete and the child weighed?
No, sir, I don't.
Do you know whether or not the concrete was collected? Is that correct?
The concrete.
Concrete. The concrete, the cement that you were referring to earlier?
Uh-huh.
Do you know if you ever submitted that for testing?
Not to my knowledge. If someone did, I don't know.
Did you know
The
that you could
results.
compare to see if the same concrete was used in that suitcase as on other road construction in the area?
I'm sure they probably could have analyzed it some way, but to my knowledge, that wasn't done.
Okay, it wasn't done?
To my knowledge, it wasn't done. But I'll have to say again, the GBI was the lead investigation or lead in this case. And so we would have relied upon them at that point.
And I know you said the child wasn't completely encased in concrete, but it was a significant amount of concrete. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you remember stating that you believed it weighed at least 100 pounds.
I don't remember saying that.
You don't remember saying it?
It was, I don't remember saying that, and I honestly don't know. From the looks of the amount of concrete there, it would be pretty heavy, but I can't say, how much it would weigh.
We didn't go through defendant's exhibit number 2. And where it says item number 10, December 22nd, 1988, James, Savannah Labs. Are you saying that's not your handwriting?
No, sir. And again, that form is different than the one in my file.
So, and that form is different from the one that the state introduced? That form is different from state exhibit 15 and 16?
It's the same except for my signatures on it.
And you don't know who put that signature on it?
No, the written in the blue ink, just the word James. I don't recall, because that's different than the form that has my full name signed on it, and it's different on the bottom part. The top parts are the same. The numbers and the items and descriptions, that appears to be the same, but far as the items listed and where my signature is and the crime lab person, that's different than the ones in my file.
And if the forms were consistent and evidence did turn up missing, we would have a clear record if the forms were consistent. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if...
Well, do you know if any evidence is missing?
I don't.
Okay. But you know this form isn't the same as the form that you have? It's not?
Right. It's different in the items and the description, but on the bottom, where the bottom part of it, which indicates chain of custody, the signature is different. These forms that I have, although they're photocopies in my file, have my full name signed to it.
One moment, Your Honor.
I got them admitted and permission to publish, but I really don't have a description. But
Your Honor, may I approach?
yes, sir. What are you approaching with?
Defendant's Exhibit 3.
Defendant. Okay. Can we go back just a little bit? But that's fine. Defendant's Exhibit 3. And what is Defendant's Exhibit 3?
It is a record of evidence from the GBI crime lab.
Okay.
Now, Sheriff James, you indicate that you were instrumental in collecting the evidence. Is that correct?
I was a part of that. Yes, sir.
And you've been to the crime lab and turned over evidence. Is that correct?
Rarely.
Okay. But you've done it before.
I can't tell you that I've ever been to the crime lab in Atlanta. I have been to the one in Savannah, but I can't tell you that I've ever been to the crime lab in Atlanta.
But you have been to the one in Savannah.
I have.
And Savannah's not that far from Recross. Is that correct?
About 100 miles.
Okay. So maybe an hour, hour and a half?
2 hours.
2
yes,
hours. And were you aware that the GBI also maintained receipts of when evidence is turned in?
I would suppose that the lab would do that.
And that would be because it would be a duty to keep track of everything for public purposes, right?
I would think they would, yes, sir.
And there's no reason for any of these documents to be altered, is that correct?
To be altered?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
Your Honor, at this time, we'll move to tender Defendant's Exhibit 3.
Any objection?
Yeah, we need to have a hearing on it outside presence jury.
All right. Court's gonna ask the jury to step outside, please. See, these are pencil sharp.